Today we're making shrimp scampi, and this recipe, I have to say, is one of my favorite recipes ever. I'm here today with my friend Megan Parmenter.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's fun being in the kitchen with other people and cooking together.
I know, I agree completely.
So what we're gonna do, the shrimp scampi, just so you know, it only takes like 10 minutes to make. However, there's some important preparatory steps that will take you a couple hours beforehand to make. And don't let that scare you. They're easy steps. Stay tuned. I'm gonna show you my recipe. I'm Stacey Archer, and this is 7 Plates. Okay, so here we go with the shrimp scampi. I mentioned that this is a relatively easy recipe, but it takes preparation time. So the compound butter is the secret behind this recipe, and it takes a couple hours in advance. And I'll tell you why. Because not only do you have to roast garlic and put it all with the ingredients in a blender, but you need to take time in the refrigerator so it can harden and you use it on the shrimp before you roast it off. So hopefully that wasn't too complicated. It's really an easy recipe, just you need to bag in like 2 hours time beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time, but I'll tell you, it's the
worth
best.
it.
It's the best. It's so worth it. So the first thing we did is we took 6 cloves of garlic. We cut the head off the garlic, and I added a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. Smell that.
Oh my gosh.
So when you roast garlic, it's a very different profile than like raw garlic.
Exactly.
It becomes sweet, it caramelizes. So we took 6 cloves of garlic, we cut off the top, we added some olive oil, salt and pepper, put it in something as simple as tin foil, wrapped it up, and threw it into an oven at 425 degrees for 45 minutes. And the whole house smells like roasted garlic right now.
Oh yeah, it does. The best smell ever.
It is, and it's healthy. Garlic is a good thing for you.
Thank goodness.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is now roasted garlic. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a stick of butter that's been softened in our Vitamix, and we're gonna go ahead, and Maggie's gonna take this roasted garlic and go ahead and squeeze it in there.
Ooh la la.
It should just squeeze right out of the shell. It's very tender, it's been cooking for a long time, it's, like I said, very sweet. See, it's just falling right in there. Okay, now that you've put all the roasted garlic in that butter, we're gonna add some raw garlic. And do you know why?
Does it add more flavor?
It's a depth of flavor that's different, exactly. So the roasted garlic is sweet, and raw garlic is very pungent. It's got a lot of
the best of both worlds.
And I think that's important for this recipe to realize is that it's the same garlic, it's just prepared 2 different ways. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and add that in. And then another ingredient is fresh squeezed lemon juice. So I have a lemon here. We're gonna go ahead and squeeze that into the Vitamix. And she's so good. She's making sure that the seeds don't go in, which is true, it can happen. So squeeze it into your hand, let the juice drain from your hand, keep the seeds. There you go.
Thank you.
And what I think brings nice color to this dish is fresh Italian leaf parsley. So we have a group of parsley I just cut off. We're gonna go ahead and add that in. And then probably 2 or 3 pinches of salt. Perfect. So now we're ready to blend.
Let's do this.
Okay, so what we used is a blender. If you have a food processor, you can use that. A blender works easy because everyone has a blender in their house. So we made the compound butter. It's all in here. Now the next step is we're gonna be able to roll this into saran wrap and make a nice neat log. And then we have to put it in the fridge or a freezer if you want to speed up the chilling process. but you want to put it in the fridge for at least an hour and a half, the freezer for about 30 minutes, and then you'll move on with the rest of the recipe. We haven't even started with the shrimp, but these are important techniques that I guarantee you make the difference between a normal shrimp scampi and a really good one. And that is lemon salt. Lemon salt. Not the type you can buy in the grocery store. Make it yourself, make it with fresh ingredients. It's all the difference. So what do we have here?
So we have about 4 tablespoons of salt, 1 lemon, and we're just gonna combine it together.
So go ahead and add the salt to our bowl. And then if you have a rasp, or if you don't have something so like a microblade that's really actually ideal, you can use a cheese grater. And in this case, we're using a cheese grater. So we're gonna go ahead and do that into the salt. Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to make our shrimp scampi. I have a non-stick skillet, and it's important that it's oven proof. It doesn't have like a rubber handle or anything that's gonna burn off in the oven. If you are fortunate enough to have a gratin dish, that's ideally what you wanna use. But we don't.
No, not today.
Not today, so we're using just an oven proof skillet. So let's go ahead and start. We're gonna use some olive oil. We've got about a tablespoon of olive oil. We're gonna drizzle it around the pan. And then we have some panko breadcrumbs. Have you used panko before?
I have.
It's a Japanese breadcrumb. It's not seasoned, but it's a little bit thicker. It actually does a really nice flavor profile with crunch. So let's go ahead, and we're probably gonna put in, just go ahead and decorate the pan over the oil, probably about 4 tablespoons of panko breadcrumbs go on the bottom. So this is before we even put the shrimp into the pan. You wanna make sure there's a little bit of olive oil and some panko breadcrumbs on the bottom. So here I have a pound of shrimp. It's already been deveined and peeled, but it's important to leave the tail on. It's part of the presentation, trust me, it looks great. So take one of the shrimp, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna butterfly the shrimp. Have you ever butterflied shrimp before?
I don't think I have.
It's important because I think the presentation of it, as well as the fact that you're getting all the meat cooked evenly, is important. So I sliced it, but not all the way through. So you can see that butterfly. And remember I said leave the tail on. You're gonna poke a hole in the middle, and you're gonna pull it through. And by doing so, what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a shrimp like this that actually stands up in the skillet. And I'll tell you, it just makes a beautiful presentation because the meat cooks, the shrimp meat cooks because it's got full contact with the pan. And yet you're gonna put it in the broiler oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. And the broiler oven, because it cooks from the top down, is gonna go ahead and make those shrimp tails almost brown to black. So it's a really pretty presentation. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Okay, so here's our compound butter. It's nice and hard. It's in its saran wrap. And this is more butter than you will need for 1 pound of shrimp. So I recommend don't overdo it with butter. I'll show you what to do, but when you have extra, this is great for putting in the fridge or the freezer and adding a slice or 2 on top of the next steak you cook. Let that butter melt into the steak. It's got all that seasoning in it from the roasted garlic, and the parsley, and the lemon. It's amazing, so don't waste the butter. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna make 1/2-inch slices, like I'm doing here. And I'll probably, for the size skillet, I'll probably do 5 to 6 slices. So I have 3 here. And if you want, maybe go ahead and start peeling off the saran wrap and then just place it in different parts of the pan. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I mentioned, you're not going to use all of it. This is my remainder. I'm going to put this in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to put it in the freezer, and I'm not going to forget about it. You know, something I was just thinking about. If you had popcorn at night, and instead of just putting regular butter on it, you put like a garlic, parsley, lemon butter on it.
That's a great idea.
Just melt it. All right, just thought of something.
We're going to put in the remaining breadcrumbs, which is about 3 tablespoons. So we're going to do that right now. Just sprinkle it all over, an even coat. And then, since we made this awesome lemon salt, we are going to season it to taste and, you know, give it a little love. So just sprinkle over here, but not too much. You don't want to ruin the recipe. And then we're going to take it to the oven. Now that our shrimp is ready to go in the oven, you want to make sure that your oven is set to broil and preheated completely. And then once we put the shrimp in, we're going to cook it for about 10 minutes, but make sure to watch it closely, because once those tails start to get brown to black, you know it's ready. So let's head on over.
To put a fresh squeeze of lemon on the shrimp before you serve it. Cheers. Isn't it the best shrimp you've ever had?
Oh my gosh.
I could just eat the skillet without even any bread or pasta. I could just sit down and eat the entire pound of shrimp all by myself. I'm Stacey Archer. This has been 7 Plates. Check out our recipe on 7plates.com. Thanks for joining us. So, take one of your shrimp and blooper. Where was I? Okay, so tail on.